Welcome everyone. This is a fabulous occasion. I'm sure you would agree. We're going to depart from our original plan because we're very fortunate to have Ileana Ros-Lehtinen, Congresswoman Ileana Ros-Lehtinen, who's chairwoman of the House International Committee on Foreign Affairs, and she has a schedule, as you can imagine, that's daunting, as most members do today. We have had a long relationship with Ileana. Many of you probably know that she was actually born in Cuba and escaped in the early 1950s, and as a result, she has a strong sense of human rights. She knows what it's like to live in very, very difficult conditions, and she's brought that to her work in the House. She also happens to be married to someone who fought in the Vietnam War, another historic time in our history. She's worked together with us in trying to bring lasting peace and stability to the Balkans. She was the winner of our Balkans Peace Award about 5 years ago. And we'd like to welcome her to the stage now to make brief remarks. Welcome. Today we're going to be spending some time honoring both Annette Landers and the late Congressman Tom Lantos, chair of the House International Relations Committee for several years, and as many as you know, he was an absolute giant in terms of human rights around the world. He and Annette led and developed the Congressional Human Rights Caucus. She will be spending, I hope, a great deal of time with us and talking about that legacy. But there's someone that's followed in her footsteps, in his footsteps, who is now in the House International Relations Committee. In fact, he's been there for quite a while, and that is Congressman Dana Rohrabacher. Dana is always a visionary. He's willing to step out and say, if we're Americans, then we believe in human rights and liberty, and if we're going to believe in that, then we're going to make it a reality. He was on the ground floor when it was not popular to say, Slobodan Milosevic is another Hitler, and we are going to face another genocide. That's exactly what happened in Bosnia and Herzegovina, and he said we should be arming the people there. They should be determining their future. They should be able to vote for their own freedom eventually at the ballot box. I want to tell you, we're going to be showing a short film, a very little clip of some of the magnificent statements and compelling statements he made on the House floor. But right now, I want to recognize him for doing something else. It wasn't necessarily easy to do it in this particular political climate, at this time during an election cycle. We asked for a major resolution, and I am happy to report that Congressman Dana Rohrabacher and Congressman Gerald Nadler introduced on November 15th in the House Committee on Foreign Affairs, House Res. 812, recognizing Albania on the occasion of its 100th year anniversary and commending Albanians around the world for the saving role they played during the Holocaust. Telling that history, and now Ileana Ros-Lehtinen, compelled by that, said, I will get the support of the committee. I will bring this resolution to the House floor, and it will be passed. Something very, very new, because it shows that it wasn't only Albanians inside of Albania who saved Jews during the Holocaust, but Albanians in Kosovo. It tells that story. We'll be hearing more about that today. Dana, welcome.
This is Dana, and he's going to forbear until we show a 3-minute clip. If you want to see someone in action on the House Foreign Affairs Committee, watch this. We've got several clips. We have Tom Lantos. We'll be getting that in a minute. But Dana, Michael, can you switch to Dana? Feel free to eat, but just keep it quiet. We're going to move this along.
Mr. Burrow. Let me thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank Mr. Randall's leadership to providing this issue. It's time to get on with it. It's time to get on with it. We've wasted so much time while the lives of these people just go on and on. The young people in Kosovo feel helpless, and unless we move and act to recognize that they have the rights as everyone else to control their own destiny through the ballot box, they're going to be just as angry as Americans would be in the same situation. We shouldn't permit the rights of our young people ever to be violated and such. We should consider the people of Kosovo just at an equal level with our own people. It's time to get on with this job, give them their rights, give them the right to vote and control their own country and have a democratically elected government. This administration is serious about promoting democracy, which we hear from the president all the time. Can start with Kosovo, and it's a great place to start because we can do it. Thank you very much. I join my colleagues in congratulating the administration at long last, determining that it's time to do something. My first reaction is, you're late. But that set aside, it's time to get on with it, as I mentioned in my opening statement, and I'm very pleased that this administration has decided, yes, let's get on with this and try to find a solution. The solution to me seems very easy. I don't know why we have to set up this convoluted process of having a United Nations advisor down there. We have senior UN diplomat determine if the final status talks are ready, and then a senior European negotiator. What's to negotiate? What's to determine? The people of Kosovo have a right to determine their own future through the ballot box, just as every other group of people in this world. The President talks about democracy as being an important part of his administration. And a very important goal, important value that we're putting forward, a priority value, let's say. Well, this is the way to prove it, right here. Why should we be taking into consideration what the Serbs and Montenegrins want to do about the political future of the Kosovars? It's the Kosovars who are the ones who need to determine that. If we believe in democracy, it's time to let the people of Kosovo have an election, determine their own leaders.
I'll summarize my testimony totally. Vital interest not to create a seeming contradiction between calling for free and fair elections and democracy in Iraq and Ukraine on the one hand, and then denying the democratic process in Kosovo, something about which Congressman Moorbacker has spoken so eloquently. It's in the vital interest of the United States to have a progressive Muslim Albanian majority in the heart of Europe. It's in the vital interest of the United States that Albanians are the most pro-American, pro-Western ethnic group in Southeast Europe and maybe in all of Europe. When America was attacked on 9/11, many countries danced in the streets, while Kosovar Albanians lit candles, had vigils, and said, "We are with you." It's in the vital interest of the United States to provide genuine support for the democratization of all societies emerging from communism and ultranationalism. And this means that it must come to grips with the fact that U.S. policy in the past 15 years has failed to denazify and democratize Serbia. It's not enough simply to pick up Mladic and Dragic to come to grips with the situation in which Serbia continues to be a quasi-mafia state that destabilizes its neighbors, and Serbs are being hurt by that.
Thank you very much, Mrs. DioGuardi. Mr. Burrow. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. First of all, I'd like to congratulate Shirley Cloyes for the hard work that they put out on this issue and this cause over the years. And it's been vitally important that a group of people in desperate situations in another part of the world will give them direction on how to state their case and how to make sure people understood what was going on. tremendous job in making sure that we got the picture of what was going on instead of a blurred picture of what was going on in there. I'd like to make one note for the record, Mr. Chairman, that is that when we do talk about the United Nations, which the administration seems to believe that the United Nations now should play a role in this process, and we're going to have United Nations representatives there as some negotiators or reconciliators, democratic reconciliators. I just wonder, Mr. Chairman, if those United Nations representatives will be from democratic countries. And I'm sorry I didn't have our representative here for the administration. It seems that perhaps a large number of countries in the United Nations are not democratic, and sending perhaps people from China or North Korea, or many of these other great countries, Burma, to come to help the Kosovars negotiate for democracy wouldn't really be of great service. And that's why the United States has to make decisions rather than leaving it up to the United Nations. Because in the United Nations there is a tremendous, let's say, influence of people who do not believe in democracy and the value of liberty and justice.
One of the things that you'll notice in the brochure that we put together is a letter from Abner Shalev, who is the chair of Yad Vashem, the Holocaust Memorial in Jerusalem. And I was struck from the beginning, he mentions it to a certain extent, when we were visiting in 2007 when Yad Vashem recognized the Albanian role for the first time. He pointed out something of tremendous importance. He said, look at who was involved in the final solution, so-called, the extermination of European Jewry. These were products of the German Enlightenment. These were people with doctorates, PhDs. These were the people that murdered 6 million Jews. And then look at the Albanians. Who were they? Many of them without any education. What did they represent? The finest element of humanity, of morality. If you look at some of the books that exist today about who the rescuers are and what they're about, you'll see that it's about two things: empathy and courage. The willingness to take a risk, even at the expense of oneself. And in the Albanian experience, it's unique because it applies to everyone. It is the cultural essence that we are recognizing today. It's the essence that we all need if we are going to go into this next generation, make sure there's never another Holocaust, make sure that we're doing something to stop genocide, make sure that the United States, as Congressman Rohrabacher so eloquently put, is one of the greatest living experiments for democracy. And the people that represent this today are in this room. There's a certain special group that we need to recognize, and we'd be wrong. We will also recognize our family, by the way. Sorry, we haven't done that yet. And other people, but it's very, very important, as Joe said. It's not just Joe and Shirley. There are several people on our board in this room today, not all of them. There are about 40 from around the United States, but some came around the United States. And I want to, please withhold your applause, but I would like each one to come up and please stand in front so that you can get proper recognition. And we would like to put this out to the world in all of the filming that we're doing. Many of these people spent 25 years working with the Albanian American Civic League. I'm going to do this in alphabetical order. The first is Dr. Gezi. He's a naturopathic physician. Where is Dr. Goli here? Please, Gez, come up. And a medical doctor from Atlanta. President of the medical group. He's here with his wife Donna, and his daughter Morgan, and his son Jordan today. From Atlanta. I'm originally from Albania. I'm Luncheon, who you're going to be hearing about more today, is from Kosovo. A graduate of University, who runs the Kosovo Travel Agency in New York. And he's here with many members of his family. His father is one of the rescuers in the also his, well, you can introduce him your family because he has some from around the world. We have Zeb Malai, who's also here today with his wife, Lina. He escaped from Albania with his parents as a child. And he and his wife are just the people who run a major real estate development and managing firm in the Bronx and Westchester County. I hope he's here right now. Born in Kosovo, escaped to the United States in high school, graduated from Texas Lutheran University, then Harvard University, is now doing a PhD in international relations at the University of Alberta in Edmonton. We have Arslan Chekai, born in Montenegro, escaped to the United States. He's a multifaceted person, an artist, a pilot, a real estate entrepreneur. He's here with his wife Rosetta. They're both accomplished business people. Where are you, Arslan? There, and his son Catherine is here too. We have Zeb Dedovane. Please hold your applause to the end. We have Zeb Dedovane, born in Albania, the owner of a large restaurant in Michigan and a central person in the Albania Roman Catholic Church there. We have Jared Dedbukai. Please come up. Zeb, come on up. I guess he's blocked from moving. We have Jared Dedbukai, born in Montenegro. He's the owner of a well-known restaurant on Arthur Avenue. This is just the board coming up, not the family. If you don't mind, the board right now, sorry. We'll take pictures later with everybody. George is the director of the school, teaching the Albanian language and culture to Albanian American children. We have Adam Dukai. Where is Adam? Born in Montenegro, an engineer coming all the way from Huntington, California, specializing in alternative energy. Adam, are you with us? Okay. We have Fero Jamalai, born in Montenegro, owner of Champion Marble, New Jersey. He has a construction company specializing in marble. We have Sammy Januzzi. Is Sammy here right now? Born in born in Macedonia. He's a naturopathic doctor with a successful practice in Atlantic City. His nephew is here, I know, Michael Januzzi. They've served on the board for many years. Gazman Lita, born in Albania, owner of Le Jardin, a very, very fabulous restaurant in Hudson, overlooking the Hudson River in New Jersey. Is he here with his wife, Stresha, she's here today, and with cousin Ilir Meta and his wife Aisha. We have Luan Basrak, born in Kosovo. With the help of Albanians, he actually was able to leave after the war. He has a bachelor's degree from Brewer University, a master's degree from Missouri State University, and he is currently a grant specialist for a nonprofit organization in Chicago, and he is our key translator. We have Rafat Hameti, born in Macedonia, from Staten Island now, and a successful restaurateur in Brooklyn, with his wife here, also Luria today. Come on up, everybody. We have Maris Sulai, born in Montenegro, a successful restaurateur in Belleville, Michigan, and a long history of charitable giving, and somebody who literally had to escape with his own life. Many, many people here had to escape under communism. We have Hafiz Shala, the director of a construction company at the time he was in Kosovo, and a leader of the opposition to the Serbian occupation. His children are here today. Luan, who's risk management director at Barclays, and Linita, who is an information technology expert. And we have Dervish Sheikh, born in Macedonia with a degree in physics, and he works in real estate management today. He's here with his wife, Tressa, and children, Alita, Ardita, and Alban. Please give everyone a resounding what it's about. It's being released for the first time in the world, and it's being done right here, and you're the first recipients. Thank you. We can't thank you all enough for everything. You are our
Gentlemen, just a minute, just a minute.
We just want to, quickly recognize some people from the floor that haven't been recognized, and one is Johanna Neumann from the U.S. Holocaust Memorial Museum. Please give her by Albania. She's devoted a great portion of her life to telling the story and is an expert in what happened during the Holocaust, and she's spoken widely, and many of you have probably seen her actually on television and in other venues. Thank you so much, Jen, for being here today. I think we also have the Deputy Chief of Mission at the Embassy of Albania, Ambassador Anton Polici. Is he with us? I hope. And the Consul, Miguel Nori. Yes, I do want to recognize, Connie, we'd like you to say some things a little bit later if you can, because we want to talk about the whole issue of the Italian story. But Honorable Constance Morello, former member of the House and president of the U.S. Association of Former Members of Congress right now. We also have Louis Tallerini, who is the chairman of the Columbus Citizens Council. And we have members of the National Italian American Foundation, an entire table. Please stand. Joe should be here for this, and I don't know where is Joe, but we would be wrong. Good. Not to recognize our family. First of all, we have Joe's brother, Dick DioGuardi, and his wife, Louise. He is a CPA. Sister, Angel Olivieri, also an accountant. And we have our daughter, Erin DioGuardi. And I think we have another congressman right now who is also under pressure today, as you can imagine, and Ron Ratner would like to introduce him. He's been carrying on the work, and a lot of people don't realize the caucus on human rights, in the Congress. She was a much factor in that, in its development and evolution as Tom was. So, please, we now have to move to the unfolding story. In each generation, it's been said very often that if we don't oppose ultranationalism and fascism in our time, it will return. And one of the most wonderful things about our own experience is watching the unfolding of the story that you heard from Annette initially with the archives that were discovered or handed over to Joe and Tom in Albania. But what later we would discover, and it only happened in about 2005, was that for Jews to get out of certainly the former Yugoslavia into Albania, there were other rescuers, and they were all Albanians, because they're Albanians in 6 jurisdictions, separated but contiguous. And Kosovo was central. And today I'm very happy to introduce Leka Rezhniki. He is the great-grandson of the only rescuer thus far recognized by Yad Vashem, because, there are others, but because one, he played a leading role, and he'll tell you about that, a very important role, and also because there was still a survivor who could identify him. Leka is a young Kosovar, highly accomplished, and someone who's now dedicated in his 20s, portion of his life to telling this unfolding story. Leka, please come up. I don't want to take more time because you've heard that. Thank you very much, Leka. You've heard, about the fact that we actually have 2 resolutions. It was only yesterday afternoon that I found out that Senator Schumer and Senator McCain introduced a corresponding resolution in the Senate. This is very fabulous. And within that resolution, The story of the Rezniki family is documented, but also for the first time, and it's important, the story of the Lichkai family is documented. Because as you heard from Leka, Ari Lichkai was one of the central people in the story, and I would like, of course, Agam Lichkai, his son, to tell that story. And it's very, very important that we fill the gap in the Holocaust literature. As you heard from, again, what an eloquent presentation, but one of the things he talked about was Vesa, and the wonderful thing in Albania was that Jews in Albania were not considered foreigners during the Holocaust. They were considered guests. And I'd like to ask Helen Neumann from the U.S. Holocaust Memorial Museum, who was one of the people who was rescued and who I mentioned earlier before, to come up and just make some brief greetings to the audience.